As you grow up, you become certain about how the world works. Childhood is full of uncertainty, since you don't know the laws that govern physical reality. Everything can plausibly be everything you don't want it to be. That shadow in your bedroom, the outline of a monster awaiting your sleep, the dark space under your bed, the hiding place of long arms which will tear you from your bed to some unknown nightmare land. You outgrow these fears precisely because of your growing understanding of these laws. Why would any creature evolve to hide under children's beds? For one, beds haven't always existed, and why would humans invent beds when such creatures would inevitably be documented? The illusion, the source of the fear, melts away. For me, all that certainty has gone away in the past few weeks. There is something that is watching me from dark corners. It doesn't matter where I go, whether there are people around or not. If there is a door ajar or a part of a room which the light doesn't reach, they are there. They stare at me from hollow eyes, encloaked by darkness. They are unmistakably human-looking, nothing odd, except for their positioning, their ever-presence, and their black eyes. I saw them first the night after a party. A truly unforgettable night. As one often does, after consuming copious amounts of alcohol, I woke up, in the middle of the night, desperate for water. Most of the lights were still on in the house, and while slowly navigating the maze of drunk sleeping people, I had nearly reached the bathroom. The door was slightly open. Vaguely illuminated by the moonlight, I, for the first time, saw them. At first I assumed that the bathroom was currently occupied by fellow travelers, also in search of water in a time of need. It was as I grew closer that I began to become unnerved. First, they were all directly facing me, even those who would not have been able to fully see me. This was strange. One, because I had made a painstaking effort not to make any sound in my approach, and second, because people, especially intoxicated people, do not stand that still, nor do they stay that intently fixed on someone without either greeting them or making a joke. It felt like I had intruded on something, and in my state of intoxication, I muttered out a vague apology, and slightly creeped out, decided that my next destination would be the downstairs bathroom. I slowly and carefully made my way down the stairs and then towards the bathroom. As I opened the door, the automatic light flicked on, and I quenched my thirst greedily. Satisfied, I began to make my way upstairs, back to the bed, which I had left behind. On the way, I passed by the bathroom again. They were still there, in the same position, unmoving. I was extremely unnerved at this point, and every hair was raised. The intoxication, now suppressed by my nerves, allowed me to stammer out something in the vein of, "F's sake, get out of there before you give someone a heart attack." There was no response, no reaction, nothing. At this point, I began to feel a little bit pissed off. These people were actively effing with me, and I certainly wasn't in the mood for that, given my exhaustion and the rapid onset of my hangover. I took one step towards them and began to reach out my hand to close the bathroom door, hoping that it would get them to knock off whatever act they were playing. Before I could take a second step, I was stopped in my tracks. The moonlight from the bathroom window glinted off white teeth. I could make out just enough to see gaunt lips pulled into an unnatural smile around the teeth. I took a step back and, in a cowardly fashion, all confidence now lost, took a left turn into the former bedroom, now informal sleeping quarters. As I lay back down on the mattress I had woken up on, I decided that I'd talk to my friend Jake in the morning and inform him that some of his guests had been playing creepy pranks. It took me a long time to get to sleep that night. The next morning, when I woke up, it was already midday, and a good number of the partygoers had already taken off back home. I found Jake in the kitchen, brewing coffee and toasting bread for those fighting off bad hangovers. I told him what had happened the night before, and he listened sympathetically before asking the others if they had had the same experience or had participated. None had. I helped myself to some of the now brewed coffee while the hangover began to recede. As so often happens, I felt the churning of my guts and had a sudden and desperate need for the bathroom. I walked quickly to the downstairs bathroom, which was still open slightly from the night before, and what I saw made me stop in my tracks, all thoughts of relief driven from my mind. Slightly illuminated from the midday sun, but still cloaked in darkness, they stood motionless, facing towards me in a mirror image of the night before. I called Jake over, and as he crossed into the hallway, he held a puzzled expression. He saw nothing and shot me a concerned look. He walked towards the bathroom, figures still inside, and pulled on the door. As the light flicked on, they were gone. He looked back, a deeper concern etched onto his face. He placed his hand on my shoulder and asked if I was all right. I had barely moved since they disappeared, and held what I assumed was a shell-shocked look on my face. He told me to finish my business, and then drink some water and some more coffee. A few hours passed, and as partygoers left, Jake was glued to his laptop, researching whether heavy alcohol consumption could cause hallucinations. His results were inconclusive. After a while, I told him that I was fine, and that it was an amazing party. I also told him that I was glad that I had such a good friend, and that we would have an even better party some other time. A week later, I was still seeing them. They were always indoors, always where the light couldn't quite reach, and always facing me. I'm always one of the last to leave at work, and the morning after the party was no exception. The sun had already dipped under the horizon when I decided that it was time to leave for the day. I had packed up my things and was just passing the security desk when I decided to take a look behind me. Most of the unoccupied rooms had had their lights turned off, and it was only then that I realized that looking out from every doorway, just outside of the light's reach, were the outline of those same figures, all of them facing towards me. My heart caught in my throat, and I made a vague motion to the closest doorway, before choking out, "Do you see that?" to the bored-looking security guard, Larry. Larry took a long time looking up from his phone, but when he did, his expression remained unchanged. "What?" he replied. I shook my head and said, "Never mind," before leaving. I was terrified. No one saw them. What were they? What did they want? A few days later, I received a text from Jake. "I see them." It has been days now, as of writing this. No one has seen Jake, no one knows where he is, and what I received was the last communication since his disappearance. I keep every single light in my apartment on now. It's worked for a while, but I couldn't prepare for what happened an hour ago. There was a blackout. I'm typing this on my laptop, and I'm connected to the internet through my mobile connection. I don't think it will help much, though. They're illuminated by the dim light of my laptop, and they're standing right behind me.